are in practice period. Gretchen is our Shuso, and being the bodhisattva that she is, she's sitting here. You may not see her, but she's also being tech for us, and I was appreciating how much, wow, I'm not sure we could pull this whole thing off without you having done this all this while, and just an immense amount of gratitude for that. I also want to announce that Susan Spencer, I'm told, has an art show, and they're up at
At Friend's house.
at Friend's house, and I think there's a reception on Friday from 2 to 3:30, and
It's in the assisted living section.
it's in,
So you turn left when you go into the main entrance, and then you turn right and go down the hallway, and there's a sitting area where you'll see her exhibit, and I'm sure there'll be lots of people gathered around having beverages and chatting.
I did everybody hear that? If you're like me, you could also email Susan or Sherry
Yeah,
or Marianne. Don't email me because I'll just confuse you. And Susan, as we all know, her artwork is amazing. We're using as our main text, so we study the Lojong teachings, training and compassion Zen teachings on the practice of Lojong, by Norman Fisher, who I think this time around I'm much more aware of how much he has taken the traditional Tibetan teachings and Zenified them, which is really lovely. And many of us know these teachings through Pema Chodron, and before her through Trungpa, who was her teacher. And I want to pull a little bit forward from that. But I also, this time, because I'm me and I sort of can't help myself, I noticed some of the source books that Norman mentioned that he used in writing this book. And I ordered two of them. One has come, and I want to call on those a little bit too, because it's not the Shambhala lineage. So, and of course, every translation is going to say it a little bit differently. And I just think that's rich, because then we get to find out how and what lands in our own body. So this one is The Great Path of Awakening, the Classic Guide to Lojong, a Tibetan Buddhist practice for cultivating the heart of compassion, by, I'm probably going to say this wrong, Jamgong Jungtrul, and it's translated by Ken MacLeod. And I've used his translations. I really like his translations, which is why I decided to order this book. So we'll see how it goes today, but that's, I'm going to be calling some of that forward too. Let's put up, Gretchen's going to do a shared screen, and some of you on the screen will be able to see it. And I want to just do this to orient us, and it's in the newsletter. The slogans as Norman Fisher has translated them, just to give us just to keep grounding ourselves. There are 7 points and 59 slogans. We're going to memorize them all, and there'll be a test. No. The idea is, this is to help us generate compassion and resilience. And I don't know how your compassion and resilience is going. Mine is great. And I also notice where I just fall off into, oh my goodness, and I can't believe, and fears and anxieties and the state of the world. And I keep saying this, but these are ancient slogans, and they are so relevant for right now. And they're trainings. So this isn't like you're going to get there and you're going to be permanently enlightened or compassionate. Compassion arises because we're human beings, and if anything, we're permanently deluded. No, it's but it's flashing all the time, and we wake up in the middle of it. That's kind of the mystery of how all of this is created. And as the slogans say in the commentaries, and the slogans say, our inclination as human beings, we seem to be hardwired to, when something's difficult, to want to turn away. I mean, we have 100, this isn't like any kind of judgment. We can, let me just, so Gretchen can take this down. So we're going to go over point 1 and point 2 today, and then Gretchen will start us into point 3 on Thursday. So the Shuso is talking on Thursday. So, delusion. All my ancient twisted karma, from beginningless greed, hate, and delusion, born through body, speech, and mind, I now fully avow. Over and over and over and over. I would become more humble, more kind, more compassionate. It's where love comes from. And there is love. We know it. There's something so much bigger. And the Lojong and the Tibetans also talk about relative and absolute compassion. So I talked about some of that on Thursday, and I'm going to talk about it more today. And I also want to say, and keep saying, we're not going to do all of the slogans. When there's 59 slogans. There's a lot of slogans here. Gretchen has pulled forward some that really speak to her. I'll pull forward some. There's these beginning points. They're easy to just touch on, but they're all just kind of amazing, and even I might go so far as to say fun. So you should look at them, and if something jumps out, you don't have to figure out why. Just write it. Put it on your mirror, put it on your refrigerator, just start living with it, because these are alive and they will help you and inform you. Seven points. Resolve to begin over and over and over and over. That's Dogen's continuous practice. Training in empathy and compassion. It's our deepest heart's yearning. I just want to be a kinder person. I just want to be, I so much would like my first response all the time to be kindness. And there's more kindness here than there used to be. And I sort of amaze myself, and I can find my way back to it. But it's like, oh, it would be so sweet if we could all just be a little kinder, and the world was just a little kinder. And so we each just take responsibility here for little Misha and for the whole world. That's why we do this, is because of love. That's why we do this. Transforming bad circumstances into the path. Bad circumstances, your confusion, your delusion is not a problem. It's just your responsibility. But in the most beautiful way, because responsibility doesn't mean like this. The root word of responsibility is respond. There's a choice each moment. Fourth, make practice your whole life. What else are you going to do with your life? 5, assess and extend. Where are we? What are we doing? What do we want? Keep coming back. Ground. Relationship. Number 6 is relationship. There is no way to not be in relationship with yourself, with the person next to you, whether you're in a relationship that's, I'm in a 40+ year relationship, well, with my son, my partner, and it just amazes me. It just amazes me how much love there is, and how much it's like, wow, we just did that again, that same old thing. So that's just this is it. That's what life gives us. We keep waking up. And 7, living at ease in a crazy world. It is kind of crazy. That's the good news of this time is you look at the world and you think, what an amazing fall day. And then you listen to the news and you just think, this is crazy. So how do we do this? Training in the preliminaries. I'm just doing a review here, but if we don't have this ground underneath us, it's just one more thing. It's like train your mind and go buy a package tape and or another book, or I mean I do all those things, but it's like the ground, you have to keep affirming and knowing what the ground is, or not knowing what the ground is, as the case may be. 1, the rarity of precious life, of the rarity and precious life, the rarity and preciousness of human life. Don't waste this life. And you also don't know how long you're going to have it. Don't worry about it, but don't assume you got forever. So what are you going to do with it? The inevitability of death. Everything is impermanent and ephemeral. Even those that we love the most, including ourselves. The awesome and indelible power of our actions, everything, body, speech, and mind ripples across time and space, and everything across time and space is rippling here. It's why it's so beautiful that all the mistakes we made in the past, or all our family problems, or whatever, and whatever we fear for the future is right here. We can, through our actions of body, speech, and mind, embody and actualize goodness. And it does touch and affect the whole world. That's an act of faith. And for the inescapability of suffering, oh, my ancient twisted karma. Training in empathy and compassion. Absolute love. I was trying a little bit when we did Zazen. So we start with Zazen because that's our core practice as Zen practitioners. I mean, if you are, anyway, I'm just going to speak from that space because that's what I know. And then we'll spend a little bit of time today talking about Tonglen, and maybe we'll do it some more. We'll spend a little time with it at the all-day sit on November 10th. That notice will go out. But our core practice is Zazen. Not because it's better or right, but it's just, if it's what we know in our bodies, because it's what we do together. And I was trying a little bit today during our Zazen period. Zazen body. The whole world is Buddha's body. I mean, what is this? What is this thing that we do? And while it is ungraspable, and essentially the minute you name it, you already have lost it, and we have to try to name it, I just think it's amazing that we have a taste through our Zazen practice of a body that is far beyond form and emptiness. It's not empty because it's full, but it's not full of anything. And it's right here. It's like it never goes away. You can't lose it. It can't lose you. Just grocery store line. Take a breath. Wow, same world and completely different. You all know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, this isn't some big high juju. It's just this. I mean, it's just sitting. It's just being. It's just this. And simultaneously, there is the relative. I am absolutely sure when I'm sure that I am me, And that when my knee hurts, it's my knee hurting. And that when I'm having thoughts, they are my thoughts. And that generally I think they're right. And the other person is right. It's just, but somehow we can sit down in the middle of it. And that's just so beautiful. And there is no inside and no outside. And these profound and deep teachings actually register. I mean, it's like, I know what I'm talking about, even though I don't know, and I hope you have a taste of what I'm talking about. And it's completely ordinary. It's just we don't usually stop and acknowledge anything except through me, through our own little lens. And that's called suffering. And beauty. It means you got a precious human body. So, absolute love, boundless, empty, total vision of life as love that includes everything, everything. That's the beauty of this. There is absolutely nothing that you can put outside of it because there is no outside. That's a very profound teaching. You can't cut it off. You can't do, well, if we just got over that, or if I stopped doing that, then everything would be fine. It's like, no, breathe it in, be with it for the sake of all beings. And then it's transformed in the light of awareness and presence. So the slogans very kindly give us points 2 through 5 to help us practice with this. And you may hear one of these and think, it's the dumbest thing I ever heard. No. I always remember with this one, see everything as a dream. As I remember someone who's, I won't name any names, who came and said years and years ago to me, I don't like that thing about life as a dream. It really scares me. And it was, I mean, just a real aversion. And so if that happens, that's perfect. It's like, wow, wonder what that is. Because I know that person's still here and practicing really hard. And I haven't asked that person recently, but I just remember that. So see everything as a dream. Everything is always arising and passing, coming and going. And there is no coming, no going. I thought, actually, we'll see once there's a beautiful thing that Norman Fisher says in here about this. I think it's about this one. Everything is always passing away. That's just how it is in this world. As soon as something appears in that same moment, it's already gone. It's already gone. The moment it appears. Wow. Everything that exists in time is like this, appearing and disappearing in a flash. That's what we mean when we say time is passing. Things do certainly seem to be here. I am here, you are here. What you see outside your window is there, but the closer you look, the less clear this is. The me of today must be slightly different from the me of yesterday and the me of tomorrow, because I know for certain that the me of 50 years ago is quite different from the me of today, almost completely different. Does this blow you away when you really stop and consider and reflect on this? It blows me away. He must have disappeared decade by decade, year by year, day by day, moment by moment. But how? It doesn't really make any sense. Now it is today. Where did yesterday go? And where is tomorrow now? You can't say. Nor is it really clear where now is. As soon as you try to figure out, it is already gone. This is great. This is like a kid's riddle almost. Since this is so, you have to wonder whether it was ever really here to begin with in any hard and fast way. Things are always slipping gradually away. If we thought about it even for a moment, we would have to agree. But this is more than a thought. It's also a feeling. If we stop for a moment our busy activity and actually take stock of ourselves as we really are right now, Feel our lives in this instance. We can note a wistful sense of unease at time passing. We can actually feel this is an underlying mood or sense about life. It is quite unmistakable. This is what the slogan is pointing out. We actually do live our lives as if in a dream, trying to grab something that isn't really there. Think about this. Think about this. Maybe that's enough. It's actually disturbing. I mean, if you really stay with this, it's disorienting. And that's why you need a deeper ground to even begin to stay with the mystery of what we just keep making solid so that we can orient in time and space. Let me just, Ken MacLeod, and here in his translation says, what we experience, that is, the world and its inhabitants, are objects that we grasp at with our senses. These appearances are simply our mind's manifestations of confusion. He's a little more direct. In the end, they are not really existent in any way whatsoever, but are like the appearances in a dream. By thinking along these lines, you train yourself to have some feeling for looking at the world this way. I think it's why grief, like that person was here. I know that person was here. But where did they go? What is that memory? What is that visceral thing I just saw at the corner of my eye that just looked like that person that was there, but they're not there? Anyway, you can follow this. 2 or 3, examine the nature of awareness. What is the self? What's really going on here? Who is aware of this? And again, Ken MacLeod says, he calls it examine the nature of unborn awareness. A little more Buddhist-y. Norman tries to make it more digestible. I think it's fun to do both. When you look directly at the presence of mind, no color, no shape, no form is perceived. Since mind has no origin, it has never come into existence in the first place. Now it is not located anywhere, inside or outside the body. Finally, the mind is not some object that goes somewhere or ceases to exist. What we sense and feel in Zazen body. But you don't have to believe any of this. Third one is, or the fourth one is, don't get stuck on peace. It's like, there's a name for it now, often called a spiritual bypass. It's like, just get your feet on the ground. This is all true, and please question existence, but just take care of your life. There's a whole lot of spiritual seekers, and I would count myself as one of them in my own little, we come looking for some way to get out of here. And that's not the point. The point is to arrive here, truly, deeply here, so that we can, if there is a point, so that we actually can be in this world with compassion and resilience. It's why a lot of Zen things, it's like they're always whacking each other, and they talk about eyes vertical and nose. I can never remember which is like, just get in your body. That's my language. Just show up. Just don't start floating around on some dream cloud and thinking you figured anything out, because the minute you do, you'll probably trip. Rest in the openness of mind. Rest in not knowing. Not knowing is most intimate. Red flag is the minute you think you know something and you're feeling a little self-righteous about it, which we could notice in all the election cycles and everything else, is probably a good time to take a breath and to come back. Breathe in openness of mind and let go completely into openness of mind, which is a kind of trust. You really do entrust yourself to this deep breath body. And to Buddha, whatever way you want to call it. And then number 6, it's great because they catch you at every point. It's like they know how you're going to mess up. We know, I mean, we do too. Is post meditation be a child of illusion? So in Zen, there is no post meditation. It's not like you sit down and get in some deep state, and then you go out of that deep state and you come back into ordinary life. Zen just says it's all a swinging gate. It's just presence. It's alive. And childlike innocence, beginner's mind. That's the practice. Here he calls it the essence of the path, rest in the basis of all experience, that everything is Buddha nature. Everything is Buddha. Everything is interconnected, which means everything is love and intimate and flowing in and out of everything else, which I can completely say and believe, and then go off and the next minute be completely self-centered. That's okay. That's perfect. You're doing great if you're anything like me. Okay, so then we go to so I've been kind of talking about swinging back and forth between absolute compassion and relative compassion. Tong Lin Tonglen is a beautiful practice of sending and receiving. And I think I've never done it as an ongoing formal practice. That's just me. Again, I think we'll do some of this at the all day sitting. But what do they call it? Just occurred to me. Is down and dirty tumbling, but that's not what they call it. It's oh God, I'm sorry. Oh Buddha, I'm sorry. Anyway, it's Tonglen on the spot. So I'm just going to tell you Tonglen on the spot because I do this all the time.
I like Tonglen down and dirty better.
Okay. Okay. It's like on the earth. You see, you know there's a state of mind that you're suffering with. So I can ground in open awareness, take a backward step. And I can consciously experience, be willing to experience in the moment. I mean, this is like, just like this is resentment. You know, what's it feel like in my body, heart, and mind? And in a sense, own it. Just land in it. And then breathe out. So because I completely own it and then I completely release it. It's like breathe out awareness and compassion and love. So I become like this transformation. I sometimes think of it like an air conditioner. Is there like an air filter? But you aren't doing it. You're entrusting yourself to something bigger, and then you're enacting something that allows you to be conscious of what's going on and to then release it with the antidote. Just this is suffering, and then for me, it's usually I can see the other person or the situation a little more clearly. The thing that I love about it, that's most helpful to me, is then if you can find some ground in it, you remember that people all over the world in this very moment are simultaneously, differently, but are experiencing resentment. It's not just you. And so sometimes, I mean, I don't know about you, but my negative states of mind are kind of delicious. And you know, it's like there's a way that you want to kind of nurse them, and maybe it's like, don't take that away from me. I'm just like, mm. But if I know that other people are experiencing the same thing, I can often find compassion for them and for the world before I'll find it for myself. And then I can, while I'm doing this for myself, I can also like dedicate it to, and I'm doing this for all beings all over the world who are experiencing resentment right now. And breathe out an antidote, breathe out love, breathe out compassion. Or you can, the classic one is you're in a grocery store line and, you know, kids acting out, or somebody's wailing on each other, or I mean, you just see stuff on the street, and you can just breathe it, take responsibility, stop. Well, when you can stay with your own fear or vexation or whatever, but you can also just breathe it in because they can't at that moment. And you breathe it in and you just send out love. It's really down and dirty. I mean, it's not this big thing that just feels like it helps me and it helps the whole world. I remember Margot Clip. I was sat with this for a long time. Her son had pretty acute mental illness, and so Margot was so attuned. And when she would see somebody, I mean, I'd watch her, you know, things that I would see on the street, and I would have judgment, or I mean, I'm confessing. And Margot, there was never any hesitation. It's just because she knew it. She knew the suffering of it, and she didn't. She in that case, she immediately went to compassion. So that's the good news, is that whatever your confusion and delusion and your suffering is that if you work it through these slogans and train in compassion, it will be easier and easier when you see it out there and in here, to just take a breath. There's lots of space and love here. The willingness to, they say, take it in as dark and heavy and sticky, and maybe we'll do this more, but just, I'm not going to run away from this. This is what it is to be a human being. And then to breathe out. Oh, forgiveness. Oh, whatever is needed here. So you go towards the pain and you realize your suffering and another's is not separate. Number 9 and number 10, and then I'll send you off into little groups to talk about this and whatever comes up. But I'm going to do this book again. Turn things around, make use of the confusion and the pain versus trying to get rid of it. You just remember that. It says here, this is Tibetan. And then number 10 is the 3 objects, the 3 poisons: greed, hate, and delusion. Here's, may every bit of every sentient being's attachment be contained in this attachment of mine. May all sentient beings have the seed of virtue of being free of attachment, whatever you like or dislike, want, don't want. May this attachment of mine contain all their disturbing emotions, and until they attain Buddhahood, may they be free of such disturbing emotions. You just want people to be happy. You want yourself to be happy. And instead of wishful thinking, you actually just kind of get in there and yummy, yummy. Oh, pain, suffering. Oh, not too much, not too much, just enough. Suzuki Roshi says, where do I have it here? Where did he go? Oh, for a Zen student, a weed is a treasure. For a Zen student, a weed is a treasure. Acceptance and love versus resentment and struggle and blame. I remember when I first went to Green Gulch and I was in the garden and they asked all of us to pick plants that, to do a little study on plants, and we were gonna do a report to all the other gardeners, and everybody else picked all these wonderful plants, and I think, I mean, I was young and, I mean, I was really young, but I picked the weeds. I wanted to know about all the weeds. I thought, that's pretty cool. So you study the weeds, and weeds are amazing. Lots of weeds are actually herbs that are, yeah, and some of them are, it's like, some weeds just need to come out, it's just Shelley, I'm looking at Shelley. Shelley knows. Okay, so and the last one is always train with the slogans. Like you're here to help. So how about if we don't have a lot of time, but I thank you for listening to me. I just they're so wonderful and there's so many great ones. Is I had it a minute ago. Oh, make use of confusion and pain. You can pick anything you want, any of this, but just turn to somebody next to you. And what does this mean to you in a way that isn't like whipping yourself for something? What is it to train with these slogans? What's your sense of it at this point? And what do you know about it?